Hi everyone, welcome to week 2. This week we're going to be discussing postmodern and modern theories of knowledge, and we'll also be thinking about how those perspectives influence discourses of quality and the developing child, and where theories of the developing child actually come from. So this week you're going to be reading Beyond Quality, our textbook by Dahlberg, Moss, and Pence, and you'll be focusing on chapter 2. So this week, a weekly checklist has been posted on the week section on eLearn. So the first thing that you'll be doing is listening to this video lecture. Then you'll visit the basic theories of education slides that are posted on eLearn, the PowerPoints. And then you'll also be watching a video on YouTube called Behaviorism. And as you're visiting this YouTube video, I want you to consider what connections you make between the text and this video. And specifically, consider this quote by Erica Berman that's on page 26 when she writes, "The technologies of description, comparison, and measurement of children that underlie the descriptive knowledge base of developmental psychology have their roots in demographic control, comparative anthropology, and animal observation that set man over animal, European man over non-European man, man over woman, as well as politician over pauper." So consider how what you've read in the text relates to the video in that sense, and how knowledge is constructed, and how ideas of developmentalism come from that particular place in Europe at that particular time. You'll also be participating in your first virtual collaboratory this week. Be sure to record notes in your collective Google Doc, and then post an editable link to your group's Google Doc to the virtual collaboratory sign-up page that's posted on Moodle, so that I can go in and see how your conversations are unfolding, and perhaps make some comments and offer some ideas. You'll be having your first response to the readings due this week. I'm referring to those responses as provocations. So your first response will be posted in the provocation forum by Wednesday at 11:55 p.m. So as you watch the videos this week, I encourage you to take notes and hold on to these notes as they might help you when you're composing your weekly responses, and as you begin thinking about your visual response assignment and your manifesto towards the end of the term. So this week, your first post will be written in the provocation forum, and a quick note on your response and your engagements in the assignments and responses to your peers. These weekly responses are weighted significantly, so you'll need to really make visible how you're making sense of the course material. So what I'm looking for in your responses is that your work is clear, concise, and that it's carefully written, that you're using intentional language and thoughtfulness, and that you show depth and complexity of the concepts that are being proposed to you in the text. So you'll need to show critical attention to the readings and how you're grappling with these concepts. And these responses, again, are not about your personal experiences or opinions. They're not self-reflective pieces, but rather you're trying to really situate your understanding in the reading. So what you'll need to do is draw from the literature and course content and situate your thinking within the author's perspectives. So pay attention to the author's dispositions and orientations and try to think alongside them. And another thing that I want you to try and avoid doing is taking a moral stance about what early childhood educators ought to do, or say we need to do this, or educators should be doing this. Or what we need to do to make things better, but rather I want you to stay with the trouble of the tensions that are presented in the text and show how you're grappling with them. How are you thinking through them, and how can you make this thinking visible? So how are you playing with these ideas and making sense of them in a way that's unfinished, that's in process? So stay with the trouble of a question rather than offering solutions. And again, stay close to the text. So I'm going to discuss some of the ideas that are presented in this week's readings and give a short discussion on modern and postmodern theories, also referred to as structuralism and post-structuralism. So this week we'll be focusing mostly on the first half of chapter 2. This chapter is filled with a lot of content, and I want to really sink into this with you and read it slowly together. Next week, we'll discuss in more detail the second part of this chapter, which is focusing on Foucauldian theory, discourse, power, and subjectivity as it works in early childhood spaces, and particularly in relation to discourses of quality.